All right. Well, again, back to old
Speaking of
stuff.
futures,
Yeah, speaking of the
oh,
future, we have we have
we went in totally
ABC
different directions,
News.
but yes,
Yeah, well, yeah, the same thing, I guess. ABC News. Trump unveils TrumpRx website. He says will help Americans buy lower price prescription drugs. President Donald Trump on Thursday unveiled his TrumpRx website in an event at the White House, listing 40 drugs at lower cost than previous list prices to patients paying out of pocket, and calling the launch part of the quote most transformative healthcare initiatives unquote. Trump made an announcement alongside Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz. Wait, is that Dr. Oz? Like from the TV show?
yes,
Oh my god, I didn't put
yes.
that together when I was reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And National Design Studio
Who I think
Director.
is not an actual doctor.
Really?
I'm like, oh, that or he had his license revoked.
Okay, that's fair.
So
That's fair.
it's like a title like Doctor Disrespect. It's like inclusive in the title, but it's not the actual title of doctor.
Okay,
It's
that's
like
fair.
MD or
That's fair.
PhD.
And National Design Studio Director Joe Gebbia. Quote, starting tonight, dozens of the most commonly used prescription drugs will be available at dramatic discounts for all consumers throughout a new website called TrumpRx.gov, unquote. Of course, it was named that. Trump said at the White House event. Some of the reduced cash prices were announced last year by the administration, and some of the new prices had already gone into effect. The president touted that the use of his most favored nation MFN policies, making sure that the U.S. isn't paying more than other countries. That's fair. For making the lower prices possible. Quote, for years, politicians. Okay, whatever. According to Trump RX website, these drugs can be obtained by participating pharmacies using coupon card codes. Sorry. Displayed on the website or directly through manufacturers' websites. The website also notes that, quote, Trump RX discounted prices is only available for cash paying patients, unquote, in an FAQ section. The discounts are not available for patients trying to pay through insurance and do not go toward insurance deductibles. Only for a few dozen drugs are offered at the website through the are offered on the website through the website, though the website says that, quote, many more drugs are coming soon, end quote. Okay, so, and it goes on. But let's get something out of the way for sure. Uh, the site Trump RX does not sell or ship the drugs. That's important to me, because before, like, I'm a capitalist, not laissez-faire capitalist, but a pretty hard capitalist, which means I love competition. So if there's more things competing for your dollar, for your dollar,
Freudian slip, they say.
more things competing for your dollar, theoretically, and I do believe it's proven to be true, the lower the prices, and even to an extent, the higher the quality, because companies have to fight for your dollar instead of just assuming they're going to get it. I thought, before I read the article, that's what I thought it was. I thought Trump RX was going to be like a competitor to like Big Pharma, Johnson Johnson. I had a list of other companies in mind. I can't think of them right now. I just can only think of Johnson and Johnson. That's not what this is. This is not. It's not competition because it's just a website taking you to the manufacturer and producer of the drugs. So, then, like, theoretically, the manufacturer and the drug makers are getting the money directly from you instead of going through insurance companies and quote unquote big pharma, which, well, I'm a fan of. Well, again, I let me backtrack a bit. I'm a big fan of competition. I don't like when competition comes from the government. I believe one, government needs to stay out a bit of competition. I do believe, monopolies are bad, oligarchies are bad. I get that. But for the most part, when it comes to just, real competition, and also not competition between, like, companies across the entire United States, like Tyson and airlines, stuff like that. We can get into that a different day. But I don't like when competition comes from the government. How? That being said, according to this thing, it's not like a company. Does that make sense? They're not
Mm-hmm.
competing with big pharma. They're just giving the quote unquote average person direct access to the drugs that they may or may not need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, lack of competition and there's been a lack of competition in the pharmaceutical sector, which contributes to high prices. Like you see all the time, like TikToks and videos of other countries being like, "Look how cheap my drugs were," and then here comes
Mm-hmm.
the big pharma drugs where it's cost like $500 for a single shot.
Yeah.
True story. Now it should be noted that those countries, they're not cheap because the government makes them. Well, they're not cheap because the drug makers make them cheap. They're cheap because they're coming out of your taxes. Let's get that out of the way first. But so it's nice. But again, it's not for people using insurance. It's for people who
Yeah.
are, they don't have insurance, and that's where they get they can get their drugs there without having to go through an insurance company. Or the thing that really gets me about that irritates me about insurance companies is that let's say there's this drug you need, they've already proved it a bunch of times. Maybe it's a life saving drug. True story. And one day they decide, no, you don't get this drug that
Mm-hmm.
needs to save your life anymore. And I'm not gonna name names, but I remember someone that would happen to. They would pay like uh, $60 a month for an entire month's worth of what's it called?
Insert drug.
Insert drug. It was for diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Insulin.
then one day, insulin. Yeah, I think it's insulin. Don't know why I had a brain fart, but $60 a month. It might even be 60 bucks for every 2 months. But anyways, one day the insurance company's like, we're not paying for that anymore. Good luck. And he went to buy it, not through the insurance, because even though he's paying the insurance, they're not going to cover it. And it was like $300 to $500. I know that because I went to buy it, and they couldn't. Some people can't afford that. Some people can't just because can't afford a two, three, $500 increase for an entire month's worth of medicine when they've only been paying $60. Quote one, you're already paying the insurance company. I understand they're a business, but that's something that what I mean. Like if it's life saving, you probably need it. You know what I mean? It's like sidecar. That's like buying a brand new car and it has a remote start, but you have to pay so you can use the feature that's already in your car a year. It was like $200 a year to have remote start in your car. True story as well. I find that kind of devious. If the thing's already in your car, you should be able to use it. Sidecar,
Mm-hmm.
no pun intended. So now hopefully that gets addressed here. Because again, it's not selling the drug, it's just taking you to the website where you can buy it directly. Now, that being
Yeah.
said, you're not getting that drug day one.
Nope.
You're going to have to wait as well. But it's nice that there's an option in case, one, insurance says no, we're not going to cover you. And then you don't have to pay out of pocket a large sum of money just so you can live for the next month. So,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, that's nice. Um, I don't.
So
Yeah, talk to me.
I was just gonna say, um, so I'm gonna give you the opinion that my sister had, because she works in pharmaceuticals, and from what I've heard both on the internet and a little bit of poking around from her, it looks like this system is just sort of like a reskin or just like an attempt at good RX,
Good
Mark
Rex. Yep, I
Cuban's
read that as well. Yeah.
that direct thing, um, which whatever. But then additionally, from what I've heard, this is another one of those systems, um, like so you know that like ho- hospitals will add like unnecessary charges to
Mm-hmm.
your like bill, and if you dispute them, they'll basically just always let them go.
Yeah, $300 for Tylenol.
Like, hey,
Okay.
you charge me, yeah, you charge me 30, that's not what that costs. You're trying to. and they basically always let it go. Um, Same thing with like a lot. Believe it or not, this is sort of, I don't know if this is like folk um, lore or if this is like a real deal, but like a lot of hospitals are obligated to do things for free. Like if it's life-saving surgery, there's actually there's an obligation that exists, a legal. I think there's a legal obligation that exists that they have to perform the surgery,
Yes, they do.
especially if you show up in like the ER and the or something like that, and they cannot charge you for it. They will charge you for it, but you don't have to pay it. Um, it's not like you can file bankruptcy. It's not like you can like genuinely you are not obligated to pay that, but they'll make it seem like you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like when it comes to like financial aid for like struggling people, there's actually a lot of it out there, but a lot of it's sort of like almost a cult in how to like obtain it. Like you need to know how to get it, and no one makes it clear on how to get it. And especially if you're one of the people who needs it, the likelihood is people are intentionally like businesses and whatnot are intentionally not telling you so they can sell you a solution. From what I've heard
Yeah.
from my
Mm-hmm.
sister, a lot of these companies, a lot of the drug companies, um, hike up their prices because insurance will let them. So insurance says they're engaged in this sort of like okay, here's a good comparison. Back in like 1970 through like basically from like 1940s to like the 1990s, college was really cheap. Even Ivy Leagues weren't that expensive. You
Mm-hmm.
go to like Yale, Harvard, Stanford. You go to Ivy equivalents like University of Chicago, MIT. Like you go to good schools for not that much money. Definitely more, and normal schools like state schools or like smaller local universities or like smaller private universities, those were even cheaper. And then when the government came in and said, "Hey, we'll reimburse students on tuition," the schools went, "Oh, reimburse how much?" And that's where you started to see the huge spike in college tuitions because when you have a guaranteed payer, the government,
Mm-hmm.
you base it this it's like when you're working you've heard the saying in construction, right? It's like, oh, if you're doing government work, you take as long as you possibly can
Because they're gonna pay
because the
it.
government must pay you. There is no out. They basically cannot negotiate. They must pay you. So you drag your heels and you drag your heels to try to get as much money out of that program as you can. And then once the money's dried up, you do the thing and you can move on. Um, and in a similar vein, colleges did the same thing. It's like, well, hold on. If you're going to reimburse me this much, would you? Okay, let's say it's $1,000, but let's say it's like 500. It's like $500, which is like whatever, a year, enough that you could work a summer job and pay for both semesters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to live on campus and have a house and a car and um, but you they go, okay, you'll cover the 500 for every student. Will you cover 1,000 for every 2,000, 8, 10, 15, 20, 40? And basically the government was just kind of stuck saying yes. In a similar vein, this is what drug companies, like pharmaceutical companies, do with insurance, um, where insurance is like, well, hold on, we want to make money here. And we make a lot of money by charging premiums, right?
Yeah.
You have to pay your insurance premiums. And the way they get more money out of premiums is by, well, providing you with more expensive goods. And so the drug company saw this and went, oh, they need expensive goods. Well, let's say it costs me, you know, 30 cents to make to make like a month's supply of insulin, and I might sell it for $1 or whatever, just as an example. Hey, this insulin costs $100, and the insurance company goes, a reason to charge people more on premiums? Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to pay us 10 more bucks a month, or whatever your pay schedule is, because well, insulin, should you need it, it's $100 for a monthly supply. And then the drug company comes along and goes, well, actually, because of well, be, would you would you buy it at $500? And the insurance company goes, oh my gosh, we would love to buy that at $500. Turns around, hey, that's actually an extra $50 a month on your, and because you can't be uninsured, in for a lot of stuff, or if you're not insured, you have to go to the drug companies and basically like pay through the nose. That's how a lot of it worked out. However, drug companies are smart. They're not stupid. They make drugs. They will actually offer you coupons to get at the much, much lower price, which is effectively the business model that GoodRx runs on, where they expedite that process of getting that
Okay.
coupon, getting the discount applied, because the drug company knows most people are not going to go looking for that. Because it actually will end up costing you more. Because if you get it through insurance, it might cost you, the insurance, like, listen, we'll give you this uh, insulin at 20 bucks. And the drug company goes, you can buy it from us direct for 30, or you can have insurance and pay 20 or like 15 or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like it's an actual thing. Like you can go straight to the company and they will give you coupons to get it at a much discounted rate. And GoodRx in many ways functions as sort of a middleman facilitating that to happen. And so they'll tack on their thing. So through insurance, let's say it costs $15. Well, through GoodRx, it might cost, $25. And then direct from the company, they might charge you 50, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's how I understand it. I could be wrong on some of the stuff, but I know companies offer direct coupons. And so like if Trump RX wants to sort of like get in on this, they're going to need to one set themselves apart from um, Good RX, which seems to actually just be the better version of whatever they're offering. Um,
Yeah. Just
from like the price
good RX
comparisons
with
that I've
Trump
seen.
slapped on top of it.
Yeah, well, it's Good RX with Trump slapped on top of it, and then you're paying an additional premium because well, we're not just going to do good. We're not just going to nationalize Good RX because that has its own problems. We're just going to come up with our own sort of I don't even know if it's nationalized. Is it private? I have no idea actually how Trump RX works. But I've seen the price comparisons, and Trump RX is like $50, whereas like Good RX might be like 35.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like this feels just sort of like they're trying to win. This feels more like they're trying to win goodwill than like a genuine attempt to like
Yeah, like
resolve things. Or more accurately, this feels like an attempt to almost maybe legislate from the executive, where well we can't actually pass laws that might make this better or easier, and we may not even want to, but we can get in on the market and make some cash, which is why it's like more expensive. And I think this is a pretty like low stakes thing to say, but like there's a lot of very loyal like Trump supporters who will go to do the Trump RX, and like he probably stands to make a pretty penny off of this.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. And not only that, again, like you brought up the whole like bring goodwill thing. Midterms are coming up, so that should be
Mm-hmm.
noted. We need some goodwill. And what was I gonna say? I was gonna bring up a point that like one, this does seem like like you said, the good RX thing kind of subserving the insurance and quote unquote big pharma. I'm gonna keep saying that. But in this book, the book I read is called The Myth of Capitalism. It says one study finds that for each dollar spent on lobbying for a tax break, firms receive returns in excess of $220. So now I don't know how this is going to affect upcoming elections. It should be noted that it probably will. Assuming that Republicans are on, Trump's side of this, like we're gonna try to push people away from, not really push people away, but like people who don't have insurance. Here's an alternative to paying monthly to getting drugs that keep you alive. I assume insurance companies, such as medical company, Medicare companies, whatever, probably not gonna be happy about that. So it'll be interesting to see where like their donations go. Does that make sense? Um, a consulting the consulting firm Strategies, whatever, found that investing in a portfolio of companies that spent the most on lobbying and influencing regulators would consistently beat the market. Not financial advice. Do your own research. But just a complete side note to think about this, like this is going to affect like companies, especially insurance companies, because you're probably like you said, probably gonna be a lot of Trump supporters that might even be like, oh, wow, here's a Trump alternative. Let's ditch our insurance company. Maybe I don't know. There might be people dumb enough to do that, or smart enough. Who knows? Depends on how much you pay for insurance and how much your medicine costs. But they might just ditch that, go to the Trump RX website, get their medicine from there, and to be fair, it might even be cheaper for them. Who knows? everyone's different, but I have to imagine in the back of insurance companies' minds, they're like, we don't want to lobby for this. You know what I mean? We don't
Mhm.
want to lobby towards a party. And again, that's assuming, right-leaning politicians side with Trump and are openly, vocal about this. I can't imagine they're going to be like, we want to support people who want to take customers away from us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it should be noted during whether it's the midterms or the election in 2 years. Uh, Keep an eye out about where these insurance companies are sending their donors, because this may or may not be overturned. At least that's what I think. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything extra to note?
Um, Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you like what you heard, and I guess saw, I do have the articles pulled up. Like, if you don't agree with us, feel free to comment and subscribe for more. Um, yeah, thanks. Don't have an outro.